Without a doubt, we live in difficult times. And it's in times like this that we need inspiration. We need God to speak to us and reaffirm the purpose of life, humanity, the purpose of our very life. Why are we alive now, and why should we get out of bed today? And the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes, written by King Solomon, the preacher, the son of David, gives us the meaning of life. Let's delve into it together. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 24 through 26 is how the chapter ends, the last paragraph. It says this: "There is nothing better for a man than to eat and drink and tell himself that his labor is good. This also I have seen, that it is from the hand of God. For who can eat and who can have enjoyment without him? For to a person who is good in his sight, he has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. Whether to the sinner he has given the task of gathering and collecting, so that he may give to one who is good in God's sight. This too is vanity and striving after wind." Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 24 through 26. I summarized the last 3 verses of chapter 2 with this command: accept life. This is the summation of all the preacher has experienced through chapter 1 and chapter 2. In this section, the preacher interjects God twice, and it changes the perspective. From the, quote, hand of God, end quote, we can, quote, eat and drink, end quote, and tell ourselves that our work is good. That's verse 24. Why? Why? Well, because enjoyment and provision is from God and God only, according to verse 25. And therefore, God provides all good things for the person who is good in God's judgment, verse 26. He concludes that, quote, to the sinner he has given the task of gathering and collecting, so that he may give to one who is good in God's sight, end quote, verse 26. So God works the sinner so the righteous can collect the fruit of another after the sinner has died. Weird idea, right? You can cross-reference that by reading Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22, and Proverbs chapter 28, verse 8. And in reflection to every experience of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and 2, the preacher, King Solomon, says, quote, this too is vanity and striving after wind. Life, wisdom, pleasure, prosperity, work's fruit, and folly are all futile and without meaning, apart from God's good hand and in the goodness of God's sight. Horizontally, us looking at each other, mortals looking at humanity and life, life's meaning is nothing. Life has no meaning and provides no encouragement. If you just look at it, people looking at people's lives. Only through a divine perspective is there any meaning against the futility. Therefore, focus on God. Focus on God's kingdom. Live God's righteousness, and God's peace and purpose will fill your life. In God, life has meaning and purpose and fulfillment. Everything else is false, futile, and a failure. This topic is incredibly important, and we need time to think about the purpose of our individual lives. Why do I exist, and how can I make the most of the time that God has given me? If you're interested in delving into Ecclesiastes deeper, then I wrote a book in 2018. It's 50 pages. It's $1.98 on Amazon. It's for a Kindle, an e-reader, and it's called Search for Significance, an examination of Ecclesiastes. And I will put the link to this book on Amazon in the description below as an additional resource for you if you wish.